Anger is spilling onto the streets of Iran, and it is turning deadly. At least 5 people have been killed as protests over the soaring cost of living spread to new parts of the country, underscoring the growing pressure on an economy battered by inflation, sanctions, and instability. In the city of Azna, in Iran's western Loristan province, at least 3 people were killed and 17 others injured, according to Iran's semi-official Fars news agency. Videos circulating online show a city gripped by chaos, objects burning in the streets, the sound of gunfire echoing through the night, and crowds chanting, "Shameless, shameless." Earlier, Fars reported that 2 people were killed in protests in the city of Lordigan, hundreds of kilometers south of Tehran. There, demonstrators reportedly hurled stones at government buildings, including the governor's office, a mosque, the town hall, banks, and the Martyrs Foundation, before police responded with tear gas. Other footage shared online shows demonstrators clustered on darkened streets, punctuated by bursts of gunfire in the background. Iranian state television also reported that a member of the security forces was killed overnight in the western city of Kudasht. Officials said a 21-year-old member of the Basij, a volunteer force linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, died while defending public order.
تکرار میکنم این موضوع رو که شنیدن صدای مردم، حتی صدای اعتراض مردم، حتی صدای اعتراض تند مردم وظیفه دولت هست. همه تلاش خودمون رو میکنیم با جریان گفتگویی که ایجاد شده و با اقدامات اصلاحی که داره صورت میگیره بتونیم آرامش رو برگردانیم و همچنان که آقای رئیس جمهور هم دستور دادن که گفتگویی شکل بگیره و تلاش‌هایی برای بازگرداندن ثبات و آرامش به هم فضای جامعه و هم اقتصاد انشاءالله شاهدش باشیم.
The unrest began days earlier when shopkeepers and merchants launched protests over the government's handling of a collapsing currency and runaway prices. Inflation is estimated at around 40%, squeezing households already struggling to afford basic necessities. This wave of protests comes at a critical moment for Iran. Western sanctions continue to hammer the economy, while airstrikes by Israel and the United States back in June targeted Iran's nuclear infrastructure and senior military leadership, heightening national tension. An Al Jazeera report says authorities appear more cautious than in past crackdowns. Officials insist they are seeking solutions to ease economic pain rather than immediately resorting to force. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has acknowledged what he called protesters' legitimate demands, urging swift government action. If we do not resolve the issue of people's livelihoods, he warned on state television, we will end up in hell.
We are engaged in a full-scale war. Right now, the enemy has placed most of its hopes on knocking us down through economic pressure. You cannot conquer a nation with bombs, fighter jets, or missiles. To defeat us, they would have to come and face us on the ground. And if they were to confront this nation on the ground, if we remain determined, united, and committed to working together to make our country proud, it would be impossible for them to bring Iran to its knees.
The government has promised dialogue with trade unions and merchants, but warnings have also been issued. Iran's prosecutor general says any attempt to turn economic protests into insecurity or unrest will face a decisive response. 7 arrests have already been reported, with authorities accusing detainees of ties to foreign-based groups hostile to the Islamic Republic. Iran has seen this pattern before, most notably during the 2022 and 2023 protests following the death of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman who died in police custody after being arrested for allegedly violating Iran's strict dress code for women. Today, once again, rising prices, frustration, and fear are colliding, leaving the nation at a tense crossroads, with the streets demanding answers and the government struggling to contain the fallout.
Protests are a legal right for people on various issues, and they could express their protests within the framework of regulations and laws, as long as they do not disrupt public order and security. In the past 2 to 3 days, part of society, meaning our dear merchants, have had protests regarding economic issues, foreign exchange rate fluctuations, and rising prices. Ultimately, we managed the situation through the Provincial Supply Chain Council with the police field management. A very limited number of people took the protests to the streets and public places and disrupted public order. The police fulfilled their legal obligation, showed restraint, and we are moving towards calm.